Hi, this is Patrick Driggett bringing you BS of the Week. I'm the coach of the Berlin Fire, and I am joined by my friend.
Hi there, I'm Kevin Lucy, and I'm from the Glasgow Rushmores. Nice to see you all again.
Yeah, it's nice to have something to do since we aren't participating in this off season or this. Sorry, it's off season for us, but for the playoffs. But some really fun games. Last week we had talked about what we expected to see. And I think we got a little bit of a swap, right? Like I think I had predicted a shootout in one game, and it ended up being the other game that we thought was going to be an absolute domination. And gosh, what just overall, what was your feeling about those games before we get into the nitty gritty?
Yeah, I mean, obviously we'll see in a second when we review them, but I'd say one game, a bit like you, I thought one game would be a lot easier, and the other game would be a lot harder. But that's the way it turns out sometimes. That's why we love the sports because you can never predict the results.
That's
Well, certainly
true.
I can't.
Yeah. Well, I mean, let's not bury the lead here. Let's go to probably one of the most exciting games that I've ever seen. Uh, why don't
Yeah.
you tell us what happened in the PFC Conference Championships?
Yeah, well, if you're not aware of what's happened, um, let me tell you the score to start off with 56-59. So 115 points scored overall. And the difference between the two teams at the end of all those 115 points was three. Uh, this was probably, without doubt, the game of the week. I'd say it was the game of the month, the game of the
Year,
season,
season,
the game of the
decade.
decade. Call it what you will. This was one of the best games that you will ever see. If you haven't actually gone and watched the play-by-play, please do so, no matter what level you are, no matter what league you are from, because this was one hell of a game. Now, before I start the review of the game, I have to say that if the gridiron gods are with you, then by goodness they are with you. And here I'm probably going to upset some people, but there is absolutely no way that on earth that the Rivets deserved to win this game. That's my opinion. The Packers totally and utterly outplayed them in every single category, bar a couple. They had the ball for 69% of the time, only giving the Rivets 31% of possession. They outpassed them 245 yards to 215 yards. They outrushed them a ridiculous 378 yards to only 72 yards. They had a better discipline than them. They gave them only 40 yards penalties, composed to Venice's 45 yards. In first down passing, they passed for 10 first down passes against the Rivet 6. And then for rushing first downs, it was 19 against 2.
Hmm.
If you take the first down conversions, Beverly Bay Packers 7, Rivets 3. The second down conversions 14 for the Packers, 6 for the Rivets. Third downs 10 for the Packers, 1 for the Rivets. Even if you look at the quarterback completion rate, the Packers quarterback completed 71% of the time compared to the Rivets 63% of the time. So to be quite blunt, Tom's offense totally and utterly outplayed Conrad's defense, and his defense outplayed them as well. They also, if you look at the kicking, they also outkicked them in as
Wow.
much as the Venice missed a field goal, whilst the Packers didn't have one to kick, as it were. Even if you look at the kickoff kickers, they were within 4 yards of each other in the distance that they actually
Wow.
covered in their kickoffs. So, with all that information, you'd be shocked to learn that the Venice Rivets and Conrad's team actually won this. So, how on earth did they win it? Well, to be quite blunt, they won it because of one man. And that one man was their returner, Gazelle Jr. Obviously ably supported by the special teams kick offense. One man can't do it on his own, but he was the difference between the two teams. Gazelle Jr. returned 5 kickoff returns for a total of 315 yards. He once actually lost it by fumbled, but he regained the fumble after a 90-yard return. Imagine what would have happened if he hadn't returned that fumble. Needless to say, they went on to score a touchdown on that one. He also returned 3 punts as well, not content with just returning kickoff returns. And those 3 punts were returned for 109 yards, including a 53-yard touchdown. And he also fumbled one of those for 29 yards and didn't manage to recover it. In a game like this, where you've got 115 points and it's separated by 3, there are so many ifs and buts. If the game had done this way, if that had happened, if this had happened. But of Gazelle's 8 returns, he broke a tackle in 3 of them for really long yardage. Just imagine what would have happened if just one of those 3 tackles had actually stuck and he hadn't made that gain. It would have been a different story. If he hadn't recovered that 90-yard fumble, leaving the ball on the 7-yard line, what could have happened to the game? It was basically, to be quite blunt, it wasn't Tom's day. Tom could still be out there playing now and the Rivets would find a way to win. It was a simply brilliant performance from Tom, from himself in terms of the team plan. He knew that the defensive tackle area was weak and he went for it, and it paid dividends. And basically the team itself just followed the plan perfectly and executed it brilliantly. It was desperately unlucky for Tom, and you all have to feel sorry for him. They say that every team needs a bit of luck to win a knockout competition. And Conrad, you certainly had the luck today, in my opinion. We all reckon you're a fantastic coach, you're a brilliant coach, but by goodness, and we all know you're going for this record streak, as it were, this record win, but oh my goodness, Conrad, you got away with one there today, mate. That was one hell of a game. If you haven't seen it, go watch it.
Yeah, that was thank you for the wonderful breakdown of how that game went. When I just, there wasn't a single, I don't know if you watch a lot of movies, Kev, and if you've ever seen the Avengers, the one where, Doctor Strange says that they only win in 1 out of a million scenarios. If like it just, I would have never guessed that this was how this game would go. And then for it to break the way that it did, it's just, it's a heartbreaker. A lot of love for Conrad. He hit that team. I mean, it just goes to show you, and a community reminder here. I think it's Ben who's doing the MVP stuff, right? We can have kind of this unofficial MVP thing. You can submit, go look for that post, submit your MVP. But we've talked about the special teams so much for Conrad, and it is the difference. I mean, that's not a whole lot special about the defense and the offense. They're not bad. I'd love either one of them for my team, but the special teams is what really sets him above and beyond. And I think that for me, I haven't submitted my MVP yet. And that's going to be a big thing for me, I think, to really talk about that, because this game just highlights how much of a game changer that can be, right? Because you can name all those stats, and at the end of that, because it'll just made it happen. And there's a whole team there, but I think, oh gosh, that's a heartbreaker for Tom.
It is.
Yeah.
I mean, the special teams offense is absolutely special with Conrad's team, because that's just phenomenal performance there by a returner. But he's got to have the gaps created for him. He's got to have his teammates all pulling their socks up as well, and doing the job. So fantastic. And we now, I think, to be quite honest, Conrad, I don't know how many he's got, because this is the record, I believe, of the most wins anybody in any league has ever put together, is the record that Conrad is going for.
Did they count playoff games in the streak?
I don't know is the honest
Yeah.
answer. I think they do, but I'm not sure.
Okay. Yeah. Well,
But yeah, um,
yeah.
but
He's
that
definitely
must.
looking I think he's definitely looking vulnerable now. I mean, to be fair, I don't want to downplay Tom's thing though either. He's vulnerable, but only vulnerable to very good teams with very good
Yeah,
coaches. Like, and
yeah,
that'll be interesting next season.
yeah. So was there another game this week?
I heard there was, a good friend of the show, Ben Dugan, who we were just talking about, unrelated to the MVP talk. His Sharks played the Giant Hornets. Giant Hornets were the close favorite. Really thought this was a toss-up game. I said that last week. Don't want to hide that fact. I thought this was going to be the shootout game of the week. I thought the Rivets were going to dominate. And unfortunately, that's just not what transpired. The Giant Hornets that came out swinging get a 64-yard return, and then score in 8 plays from the opponent's territory. It didn't take a whole lot for them to get in there. Sharks counterpunch right away, got a touchdown, 5 plays off a 64-yard draw. Then they missed the extra point, and unfortunately, things never got better from there. After that, there's some back and forth. Giant Hornets get a field goal. They go up 10-6 early. And that's pretty much where it stayed for the rest of the first quarter after some more back and forth. In the second quarter, the Giant Hornets, they get Tripson in on a sweep in the opening seconds. They had a long drive at the end of the first. They score right away at the beginning of the second. They go up 17-6. And then on their very next possession, they're up 24-6. Needless to say, it didn't get much better. Second half ended with Giant Hornets up 31-6. And then, second half, nothing really changed. Unfortunately, whatever happened in the locker room, maybe they just couldn't rally. I'm not sure, but Giant Hornets extended the lead, and the Sharks did try to counterpunch. They got another score there, but it wasn't enough. Giant Hornets beat the Sharks 41-13 to get the honor of being second place in the Sky Bowl. I really would love for the Giant Hornets to surprise us as much as the Packers did. I think we would all be rooting for that, but I just don't see it happening. But anyway, I think what I don't want to do, I have thoughts about what this means for the next game. But in terms of what happened, that's what happened. The Giant Hornets win. Ben Dugan's out and with the Sharks, and that's unfortunate. He worked really hard this season. I know he's still building, so I don't think the Sharks are out next season. I think the Sharks are going to give it another go, make it deep into the playoffs next year. I think the Giant Hornets look super strong. So it's an exciting year for the PFC next season. But Kev, why don't you tell us about what this all means now that we have a Rivets Giant Hornets Bowl?
Well, it basically means that one of the unbeaten teams of the season is going to end up without that record because both the Hornets and the Rivets are totally unbeaten all season long, which in itself is a fantastic achievement for any team.
Mm-hmm.
I would say that Colin, who I had the pleasure of meeting at the live draft, lovely guy. Unfortunately, his strength in offense is not really a major weakness for the Rivets defense.
Mm-hmm.
The Rivets are pretty good at defending the pass.
Yeah.
With their injuries to their defensive tackles, and I see that Elk got an even bigger injury, so he's even more knocked up this week than he was last week. Unfortunately, I can't see Colin being able to to take advantage of that because he doesn't have anyone that pounds up the middle, where that would be a problem. Tripson certainly isn't going to start running all of a sudden. Willsbury, Bernie, I can never pronounce his name. Again, is he's a run flat person, not a run through the middle run line. So I think that it's Conrad's bowl, to be quite honest. I would love Colin to be able to take it, being in the same division as my good self. It would be good, and being on an unbeaten record, it'd be good. And Tripson, Calgary, Tripson, Watson, I know Muggs, but I do think, with my hand on heart, that the defense for Conrad's defense for the rivets will be able to hold them sufficiently so that their offense can outscore them. Prediction something like a 40-20 game.
Oh, our predictions are quite close. I said 45-16.
All right. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, so we're pretty close. Yeah.
Yeah, that means that it will be a 2-point game, and we'll both be miles out.
yeah, yeah. I would love nothing more than to be surprised and see another game like last week. I just think the PFC competition isn't quite there yet for the Giant Hornets to show up the way the Packers did. I think I don't see it. I would love to be surprised. Like you said, I think he has a weapon and you know what he's going to do with it. I just don't think he can suddenly change to be a run line powerhouse to take advantage of the middle. And so maybe we'll be surprised. Maybe he has some higher level special teamer that's a run line person that we just don't know, and it's all gonna pan out. That would be cool. I'd be interested in seeing it. His also, I'd like to say, the Giant Hornets have good special teams. When you look at the Sharks game, a thing I didn't really call out, they actually have a very good special teams, and so that I don't think they spoil, but there's enough there where if it happened, I think everybody would be shocked and surprised and delighted. I don't think there's enough there to do that, but best of luck to Colin. Conrad.
Oh yeah.
Conrad knows we have a lot of love for him, and I think the football, as you said, the football gods have already blessed him, so I don't think he needs our love in this one. But I think realistically, I think everyone, there's no shock. Like, I don't think there's a big spoiler here what's going to happen in the bowl game, but
we'll come back next week and we'll get egg all over our face. So.
That's true. Yeah, I think we'd all be excited about that. There'd be a lot to talk about. I said it earlier, and for anybody who might have glazed over me talking about it, I think there's a good chance, when the Sky Bowl gets locked in, that's when MVP submissions to Ben's post are over. I believe that's what he said. So make sure to net, if you see this, we'll post this up hopefully with enough time for you to submit some stuff to Ben regarding the MVP. That's a really fun community thing for us to get a chance to kind of write about the players we think had the biggest impact this season. So go ahead and do that. I'm in that part. I've already, Kev, I didn't tell you this, in our pregame, but I've been running tons of numbers. I've got a whole new approach to poaching. Last season, I really effed up on poaching, and I did some stuff. I'm excited about getting your poaching offers in, get your, get ready for the draft. This is a fun, when you're not very good, the draft is like the most fun thing. So, I get ready for
that's
that.
why we enjoy it so much.
Oh yeah, exactly. Yeah. I'm getting jazzed about that. So I'm ready for that. But excited about the Sky Bowl. And I think it's going to be an exciting next Tuesday just to talk about what happened. And
indeed, and then I would presume the draft will be out fairly soon. I would think. Is it?
I would hope so. Yeah, generally
couple of weeks after the.
Yeah. Well, be good.
Stuff.
Yeah. Thanks, Kev. Thank you to everybody out there for watching, and we'll see you next week with the results.
Yeah. Night, guys.